Welcome to Garden Delights. I'm Susan Howington, Family Consumer Science Agent with the Henry County Cooperative Extension, partnership with the University of Georgia. We have a great show for you today. I hope you're going to like what we're going to end up making. It's called Sweet Potato Bake. So we're going to be talking about sweet potatoes. And of course, Frank Hancock, our Agriculture and Natural Resource Agent, he's going to be out in the field later and he's going to be talking about how to grow sweet potatoes. So we're going to see you back in just a little bit and learn more about those sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes is one of my favorite. If I had a choice over a baked potato or a sweet potato, I'm definitely going for the sweet potato because I know it is probably one of the best resources for your nutrition. So let's talk a little bit about that sweet potato. It is a great source of vitamin A and C. And you know, you can get a lot just from eating a medium-sized sweet potato. Now, these are different sizes, and we're going to talk more about the different sizes. But these small ones, like this one, is more for your baked potatoes. So if you're looking for just something really small, this one's a little bit on the small side. But the smaller they are used for the baked part of it, it's for baked potatoes. But let's talk about all the good things about it. It's vitamin A and vitamin C. It has beta-carotene, we know because of the color. When you open up a sweet potato, you have that wonderful bright orange color. It also is a really good source of fiber. It is a wonderful source of fiber. So if you're looking for something to put more fiber in your diet, pick the sweet potato because it is loaded with fiber. When you're looking at the sweet potato as far as the nutrition, it has a little bit of iron, it has a little bit of minerals and other vitamins in it, but the biggest ones that I want you to remember is the vitamin A and vitamin C and that wonderful fiber that you're going to get in here also from this sweet potato. But let's talk about selection. When you're selecting sweet potatoes, even at the grocery store or if you're picking them from your garden, and actually these sweet potatoes you see here today are the ones that Frank had a chance to go and get these for the show. And you can see they're different sizes, and all these came in one little cluster, and you can see the different sizes. Now, when you're getting ready to bake, you do want to use the smaller ones to bake, but if you're going to slice them or mash them, then you want to definitely pick the bigger ones. And of course, I used a bigger sweet potato today to do the recipe that I'm going to be making because it does have a cup of sweet potatoes, so I want to make sure I use a bigger size sweet potato to do this recipe. But when you're picking your sweet potatoes, also there's different kinds, and so when you're looking at them, they may have a little bit of different color in the variation when you slice them open. And it's just because there are different varieties out there that people are going to plant, and when you're buying them from the grocery store, it's the same also. Now, sweet potatoes are going to be in your grocery store at the peak is between September and December. So you want to look at your peak. That's your peak time for September through December is your peak time for sweet potatoes. And of course, we all start looking at sweet potatoes, thinking about the holidays and what we can do with sweet potatoes to put on our tables to have some kind of bake with sweet potatoes. So hopefully this is going to be a choice that you'll have a selection for also when you're going to the grocery store, or as some people do, they plant them in their garden. So you can also plant them right here locally in your own garden to have your sweet potatoes. Now, storage, they can keep around 3 to 5 weeks in your home, and you want to keep them in a cool and dark place. You don't want to put them out in the sunlight. But sweet potatoes also bruise very easily. So you want to be careful when you bring them home from the grocery store or you're picking them. A small bruise that you can't see with your eyes right now can take this sweet potato and decay the sweet potato, so you don't want that because then you're going to have to discard some of that sweet potato. So they do bruise easily. You think because they're a little bit firm that means that they're not going to bruise, but they do bruise, so take very good care of them. And we know in preparation when we're going to work with any kind of fruits or vegetables, we always have to wash our fruits and vegetables before we prepare with them. So make sure you wash them. Sweet potatoes do grow in the ground, so they're going to have soil all on them. So I want to make sure that you scrub them, wash them really well before you use them. Some people like to eat them with the skin on, which you can, or you can cut the skin off and use it for whatever you're going to do as far as the bake. So as you can see, the sweet potato is a great source of nutrition. When we come back, we'll hear from Frank Hancock. He's going to be out in that field and he's going to talk about these sweet potatoes, and then we'll be making this sweet potato bake.
Today we're going to talk about growing sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are a warm season crop. Don't confuse them with your Irish potatoes that you might be trying to get planted in late February, early March. Sweet potatoes are going to want the soil to be up in the 70s, so they're going to be a May crop. So they are a root crop also. Your Irish potatoes are tubers, but sweet potatoes are actually roots. Sweet potatoes are also not yams. Some people call them yams, but yams is a tropical plant that doesn't really grow around here. The thing we like about sweet potatoes is sweet potatoes are, they're native to this country. They're part of the morning glory family. They grow long vines, some varieties do. They are fairly easy to grow. They like warm temperatures, and so here in Georgia we've got long seasons with warm temperatures, so we can grow a really good crop of sweet potatoes here in Georgia. So sweet potatoes are grown from slips. Slips are the small plants. Now you can get potato slips a lot of different ways. You can take a potato and you can put it in some water, about a third of it down in the water, and it will sprout. You can break those sprouts off and you can put them in water. You can grow roots. Problem with that is sometimes the roots don't develop like you'd like to have them. You can also dig a bed and you can plant some sweet potatoes in that bed. They will sprout. You can cut those sprouts off and plant them, and they'll develop roots in the soil. There's a lot of timing that goes on with growing sweet potato sprouts so that you get them the right age when it comes time to plant them there in May. So you got to figure all that out. So also a disadvantage of growing your own slips is if you had any disease or anything in your garden, you're going to grow it right there in your slips to start over again with the same disease. So, from my opinion on sweet potato slips, you go down to the store and you buy some and you plant them. They're going to be healthier. They're going to be the right size for what you're trying to do, and that's just a better way to start off with sweet potatoes. Now, when you're growing sweet potatoes, they like for the soil to be around 6 to 6.5. We talked about that in previous things where you need to do a soil sample. Sweet potatoes don't like to be fertilized real heavy. You want to go a little light on the nitrogen. They are a vine, like I say, most varieties are. And so when you're growing sweet potatoes, if you fertilize them a lot, you're going to grow some tremendous vines, and you're not going to grow very many tomatoes. I said tomatoes, but you're not going to grow very many sweet potatoes. That's the trick. Don't over fertilize them. They're pretty hardy, they're pretty healthy. Now, when you plant them, generally you'll plant them about a foot apart in the row, but the rows need to be at least 3 feet apart, because when these things start running, they're going to take up some space. And so you will, if you plant them too close in your garden, they will take over your garden. So you got to give sweet potatoes a little bit of room. Sweet potatoes generally take 110 to 120 days to mature. The vines will still look good when they're mature, so you have to kind of plan when to dig them. You definitely don't want to leave them in the soil till you have some cool weather or frost. Sweet potatoes don't keep well in cool weather, so you got to get them out before cool weather. So generally, you plant them in May. You're going to be digging them around the 1st of September, somewhere in there. And you can just dig 1 or 2 of them and see if they're like you want them before you start digging the whole bunch. Now, several different varieties grow in Georgia, and the University of Georgia has got a pretty good little pamphlet. It's just a little 2-page pamphlet on sweet potatoes, and it talks about varieties. Beauregard is probably one of the most common ones, and it's a vining sweet potato, so it's going to run and take up a lot of space. Centennial is another variety that likes the red clay a little better than others. And then you've got the Puerto Rico that is more of a bush type. So if you've got limited space, you might want to consider one of the bush types to do that. So as you dig your sweet potatoes, and we have dug some sweet potatoes here, and You have to be careful to get around the plant. You'll get the vines out of your way to start with, find where the plant is. These are roots, and so they are at the plant that you planted. That's where the sweet potatoes are going to be. Don't worry about the fact that the vines went 40 feet off in every direction, because that's not where the sweet potatoes are. So you need to dig out around that plant a pretty good circle, so that you don't damage any sweet potatoes. I did one a few minutes ago, and so this is an example of what you don't want to do. I dug right through a sweet potato a few minutes ago, and so that sweet potato is not going to be any good. In fact, it's so tough on there I can't even get it off. But so don't do that. Dig them around. This is probably the last sweet potato that's coming out of this garden, because I just dug it in, and the crude already been in here. In fact, this garden actually produced over 1,000 pounds of sweet potatoes in these rows that you see, and all that was given to the food pantry. So you can produce a lot of sweet potatoes. You don't have to have a lot of plants, but like I said, you do have to have a lot of room to grow them in. So buy slips. Don't try to grow your own slips. Plant them in a nice, well-drained place. They don't like to be wet. They'll rot if you put them in a wet place while they're growing. They're also pretty healthy thing to grow and eat. So that's what I know on sweet potatoes.
Welcome back to Garden Delights. We're going to be making a sweet potato bake, and I'm going to be putting it together for you, and hopefully this is going to be something you'll want to put in your box or your kitchen recipes one day and pull it out. It's very easy to make, but it's also very low in fats and calories. Sweet potatoes are 0 saturated fat, 0 on your cholesterol, so that's also something good about them. But we also know that sweet potatoes has potassium, and so do bananas. And so this is going to be a little different twist on our sweet potato bake. We're going to end up mashing these bananas and putting them with the sweet potatoes. So it's going to be a little different twist, but I hope you're going to like it. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the recipe. For the sweet potato bake, I've already put together 1 cup of smashed or mashed, however you want to say it, sweet potatoes. So this is what I have right here in this bowl. But what I have to add to it is I have to add about 1/2 cup of bananas. So these bananas are on the, I say about a medium-sized banana, and it takes about 2 bananas to get about the 1/2 cup. And I'm not going to measure it because I've already measured it when I made the recipe before, and I know that's about what it takes. So it's going to take about 2 bananas. So I'm going to go ahead and do the bananas up, because I know I've got to get them smashed up before I can even put them into the other part of the sweet potatoes. So I'm going to mash them up, and depending on your bananas, I don't like my bananas really ripe, and so you can see these are not really ripe. They're just a little firm to them. That's why I like them. Now, if you like really ripe bananas when you're mixing them in with other ingredients, then you probably want to wait maybe another day or 2 on your bananas. But I just like them a little firm when I'm cooking with them. But I do know the longer you do wait, the sweeter they're going to get. So it just depends on what you like. So I've almost got them all smashed up like I want them. And it doesn't take very long to smash these bananas up. And so like I said, this is 1 cup of the sweet potatoes. I'm just going to lay that right there, and hopefully it will stay there. And then this is my 1/2 cup of mashed bananas. So we're going to add this to the sweet potatoes. And in this recipe, it also, you have to have skim milk. This is evaporated skim milk, and you need about 1 cup of it. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this into the bananas and the sweet potatoes. I'm going to just try to add all this together. I'm going to kind of mix this just a little bit. And then it also asks for 2 egg yolks. Now, when you're cooking and you are trying to cut your calories, you can use egg substitutes if you want to. But for this recipe, we are going to go and use the 2 egg yolks. So I'm just going to kind of mix this a little bit. And they do have to be beaten, so I'm going to take my whisk and I'm going to beat those up a little bit. And this is just egg yolks. So remember, I've discarded the whites from the egg. So I'm going to beat these up just a little bit. And I'm going to add these 2 egg yolks to the mixture. All right, so we have our sweet potatoes, our bananas, our milk, and our eggs. We also have to add a little bit of salt, and we're going to add a half a teaspoon of salt to the mixture. And I ran out of clear bowls, so I went to the next best thing and measured it right out and used the measuring cup. And this is 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar. So we're going to add 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar. That is if it'll come out for me. And I packed it in there, as you can see. So we're going to try to get it out. And this is just going to give this a little sweet, not a whole lot, just a little bit sweet taste to the sweet potato bake. So I'm going to mix this all around. And as you can see, this is very easy to make. So I want to make sure I get the eggs, the milk, sweet potatoes, the bananas, and the salt and the brown sugar all incorporated into the ingredients. So we're going to mix it a little bit more. And if you don't like bananas, you know, you could, like I always say, every recipe you can substitute, you can do different things with. So if you don't like bananas, you know, you could adapt the recipe and maybe not put the bananas in it, but I like it because it gives it just a little different taste to it than what you're normally used to as far as a sweet potato. All right, so that looks really good mixed up. And then this is about a quart size to a 1.5 quart size casserole dish is all you're going to need. And it does in the recipe ask you for you to put some kind of spray or some kind of non-stick spray on your casserole dish. So I've already done that for us. So all you have to do is put this into that mixture, into the casserole dish. And this makes enough for at least, you know, 4 to 6 people, depending on their serving size and eating what you're eating. But I do want you to know that for our sweet potato, just a cup, like I put in this recipe right here, is only 180 calories for a cup of sweet potatoes. And like I said, it's 0 fat, 0 saturated fat, great on your vitamins. And so it's really something you should look at as far as eating it for lunch or having it on your plate for supper. So it's a really good, easy thing that you can put there to get a lot of vitamins and minerals and extra fiber in your diet also. Now, I'm going to move this to the side just a little bit. And we also have something that goes on the top. And some of my favorite things to eat is raisins. So this is 1/4 of a cup of raisins. We also have some cinnamon. This is 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and this is 1 tablespoon of sugar. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the sugar on top of the raisins first. And then we're going to add a little bit of cinnamon. And what we're going to do is we're going to mix this up a little bit because I want the sugar and the cinnamon to coat the raisins. And to me, this looks like something I could eat right now just like it is. So it's going to coat the raisins. And this kind of keeps them from sticking together too. It kind of gives them a little bit of freedom to where when you pour them on top, they're not sticking together. So all we did was mix a little bit of cinnamon and sugar and a little bit of raisins. And I know a lot of people think, you know, you got to have your pecans on top, or you got to have mushrooms on top. I mean, mushrooms, listen to me, marshmallows on top. But you don't have to do that. You can think of other ways to cook your recipes to make them healthier for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this little cinnamon, sugar, and raisins, and we're going to put this and sprinkle it right on top of the sweet potato bake. And it just gives a little bit of texture to the top of it. And I love cinnamon, so I could eat cinnamon on different things as far as baking, but nothing to me sounds better to me than a baked potato or a sweet potato with cinnamon on it. And that doesn't mean you have to add the butter to it. That means just a little bit of cinnamon. And you know, cinnamon's good for us. So if you're looking for a way just to have a baked potato and spunk it up a little bit, that's a great way to do it. And you know, sweet potatoes are so versatile as far as how you can bake them. You can do them into fries, make them into fries if you wanted to. You could make them into slices and do different things with them. So they're a great thing as far as baking, cooking with. So if you haven't had a sweet potato on your recipe list lately, put one on there because it's really good for you. I'm going to get every last bit of that cinnamon and sugar to make sure I have it on there. So this is the sweet potato bake. And I'm going to leave this spoon out for later. But it looks yummy to me, and it's easy to bake. You're going to bake this in your oven at about 300 degrees, and it's going to be about 40 to 45 minutes until the center gets kind of firm, but you don't want to overbake it. And if your stove, you have to I'd look at it after 30 minutes just to make sure, because every oven is different as far as the temperatures range. So about after 30 minutes, check it just to see what the center looks like, to see if it's congealed like you want it, a little firmness to it, and then it's ready to take out. Now I will tell you, this is really, really good the next day too. It just seems like it incorporates all those good flavors. And so if you're looking for a way to bake something ahead of time and bring it back out, it's a really good recipe as far as taking it out the next day. And it's really good even cold in your refrigerator taking it out. So hopefully you're going to enjoy this sweet potato bake. We'll see you back in just a little bit. We're going to invite Frank in, and he's going to taste this sweet potato bake. Welcome back to Garden Delights. We have Frank with us, and Frank, we're going to be tasting sweet potato bake.
Good.
I hope you like it.
I'm glad we're having sweet potatoes because I spent a lot of time digging some sweet potatoes.
I know. I told everybody that you have been digging those sweet potatoes, and we're going to try some of those sweet potatoes. So this is the sweet potato bake, and has a little twist to it now. Has a little bit of bananas in it, so I hope you're going to like it. And it's not going to be real sweet for you. But it's going to be a little healthier for you. So, and we know that it's going to be a little warm too.
Sweet potatoes are healthy all the way around.
That's right.
They're healthy when you eat them, and you get lots of exercise when you dig them.
You are exactly right. See what you think.
That's good.
It's really good. It's a little warm, isn't it?
Not bad. That's really just right.
That is really good. Do you like the bananas in it? Can you taste them?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
tastes a little bit like sweet potato pie. If you,
in a way it does.
Except, you know, it's got the raisins in it. But
yes.
That's good.
Do you like raisins?
Mm-hmm.
Good. I'm glad you do, because I hope you like this, and this will be something you can take home to Bobby, and y'all can, since you've been growing those sweet potatoes, this is something y'all can hopefully try.
I got some sweet potatoes at home. They're going to need to be cooked.
Very good. Very good. Well, I think it's very yummy.
Sweet potatoes are also pretty, you know.
They are.
You grow them for flowers.
They are.
But I would prefer to have them like this.
I would prefer to eat the sweet potato. Me too, me too. Well, I hope you're going to try this sweet potato bake. To find this recipe, go to our website. And we'll see you next time on Garden Delights.